Well, let's go to Laura. She's live with us from Austin. Good to see you, Laura. And I know you've got a guest with you as well who can help us understand this story better.
I do, Roz. I have with me a veteran Democratic political consultant for the state of Texas, Glenn Smith, who joins us now. And Glenn, you're standing outside the beautiful Capitol building here in Austin, Texas. Did Democrats fold on voting rights by coming back here?
No, by no means. This was always kind of a performance protest where it was not going to go on forever. To do that would have to go on to the election of 2022. This was a way of calling attention to the critical issues involved in the voter suppression plans of Republicans and to help boost chances in Congress for a new national voting rights bill. Because you remember when the Democrats here left the chamber and blocked a quorum, they went to Washington to lobby to bring those bills up in the Senate and get around the filibuster, and that's just what they've done.
Okay, but what did it achieve ultimately, do you think, then? Just raising awareness?
Oh, I think raising awareness is a big deal. I think it's important to remember throughout the history of the United States, it's been long one struggle for the franchise, right? You had to be a property owner once, then women wouldn't until the 1920s that they could vote. African Americans were blocked from voting for years and years despite the Constitution, and we're still in that fight. And the conservatives are still trying to put barriers between people in the polls. So this is just another skirmish in what is really kind of a 200-plus year battle.
But here's the really interesting thing, Glenn, is that Democrats claim that Republicans are making all these changes to voting laws in order to suppress the vote. But here in Texas, didn't we have record turnout?
Well, absolutely, but you'll recall that some of the things they want to do away with help that turnout. For instance, in Harris County, where I do a lot of work still, they had 24-hour voting, they had extended hour voting, they had drive-through voting, they had drop boxes where you could take your mail ballot and drop them off conveniently. The Republicans outlawed all of those things. They were responsible in part for that big turnout in 2020.
But isn't it also possible that that's going to hurt Republican turnout? That this, it hurts turnout for everybody?
I think you have a good point there, but I think there's a general rule that the lower the turnout in an election, the better conservatives, in this case Republicans, do. I'm not sure why that is the mathematical case, but it is. But you're right, Republicans took advantage of those things just like Democratic voters.
Now, President Trump won this state, Glenn, by 9 points in 2016, by around about 5 in 2020. Is Texas rather slowly turning pink, if not blue?
Yeah, I think there's no question that it's turning that way. I mean, you can just look at the results of the census that we just received. All of the population growth here is people of color, right? All of it. The Anglo population is stagnant, even diminishing somewhat. Also, all of that population growth was in urban areas which are heavily Democratic. So you have two things happening at once. The growth areas are in urban areas that most places are already controlled by Democrats in Texas. So it's going to happen.
Yeah, Glenn, President Trump did brilliantly with Hispanics in the Rio Grande, didn't he?
We we have to go get those voters. He did, and one of the reasons is Hispanics don't vote as a block. We got to remember, they're individual human beings. If you want them to vote for you, you got to be there to ask them to vote for you, and they have to see what it is you want to achieve that will help them. So it's always been wrong to treat them as some kind of monolithic voting block, because they're not, and never have been, and Democrats should understand that.
Well, hearing it from the longtime political operative master, Glenn Smith, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm happy to have been with you. Thank you.
So there you go, Roz. You heard it from the horse's mouth. Democrats have to go after the Hispanic vote and not just assume that there's a monolithic voting bloc waiting to turn Texas blue.